Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's seminar on English language teaching. My name is Anissa Saputri, and I will be your moderator for today's seminar. This seminar is a session where each group will present the paper they have worked on, followed by a Q&A session after all groups have delivered their presentation. So please be respectful and give your full attention to each presenter throughout the session. So without further ado, let us begin with our first group. So please welcome to the first presenter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Reni Anggreni, and I'm from English Education Department at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. Today, I feel honored to share with you the seminar presentation entitled Peer Feedback in Essay Writing, Student Perspective on Writing Improvement that conducted by me and my partner, Andisa Sapitri. So this presentation explore how we as students experience giving and receiving peer feedback in academic writing, particularly essay writing, and how this process can help us improve our writing skill, build our confidence, become more engaged in the learning process, and also rather than relying only on teacher feedback or lecturer feedback. I want to show how peer feedback can be a powerful tool when used properly. Okay, next. So let's begin with a bit of context. So writing is often considered one of the most difficult skill master in English, especially for us as EFL learners. Why? Because it requires us to do many things at once. Use correct grammar and also the vocabulary, organize ideas, develop logical arguments, and also follow academics writing convention in academic setting, especially in writing course like essay writing, as we conducted in third semester, we are expected to produce texts that meet all the standard. Naturally, we look to our lecturer for feedback to improve our work. But sometimes that feedback takes time to arrive. Other times, it may not detail enough, mainly because the class size is large and the teacher has so many papers to read. Okay, so this is why peer feedback is so important. Instead of waiting for the teacher or lecturer, we can help each other. We can give suggestion, point out unclear parts, or ask critical question. Through this process, we are not only improving our own writing, but also developing the ability to read critically, understand others' ideas, and also we can express our constructive opinion. So, in this seminar, I want to explore what happens when students give and receive peer feedback, and how they give, how they receive the feedback, how does it affect their motivation, confidence, and what are the benefits and challenges we face when doing it. Okay, next. Okay, so we have research question in conducting the research. To explore this topic, we focus on four key questions that we believe are essential for understanding the impact of peer feedback. So the first question is, how does peer feedback influence student writing skills? So we wanted to know whether peer feedback really help us improve our technical content related aspect of writing. For example, does it help us fix grammar, content related aspect in writing? For example, does it help us fix grammar? Our arguments, is it stronger enough or organize our ideas more clear? And the second question is, what is the impact on student motivation and confidence? Writing can be intimidating, some of us feel nervous or feeling unsure, especially when we know of our work will be read by other or by our peers. So we wanted to find out, does peer feedback make students more excited to write, or does it uh, give them the confidence to express their ideas? And the third question is, what are student perception of peer feedback? Like, do students find it is useful and supportive, or do they see it as uncomfortable and maybe even unnecessary? So this question looks at how students feel about giving receiving feedback from their classmates. And the last one is, what challenges do students face in giving or receiving peer feedback? Even though peer feedback has many benefits, it's not always easy. Some students are afraid of offending others, or they feel unsure about what to say. Others might find it hard to understand the feedback they receive. So this question focuses on the identifying those obstacles. Next, please. Okay. So this part is about research objective. Based on the question, uh, we set out four main objectives for our study. The first is to analyze how peer feedback contributes to student writing improvement. So this includes looking at specific areas like grammar, coherence, and also the organization of the essay. And also it look for clarity of arguments and how well students revise their work based on the feedback they receive from their peers. And the second is to investigate how peer feedback affects student motivation and confidence. uh, if you know that peer feedback makes students feel more motivated and less anxious, then it could be a powerful tool in learning. We wanted to explore whether students feel more confident about their writing after going through a peer review. And the third one is to explore student overall perception of peer feedback in essay writing. So we wanted to capture their opinions, whether they think it is helpful, whether they think this is the process, and whether they believe it really improves their skill. And the last one is to identify the challenges students face when giving or using peer feedback. So understanding these difficulties help us know how to make process better, whether we need to clearer guidelines, more practice, or lecture support during the peer review. Next, okay, for the theoretical framework to support this study, we refer to some important theories from previous research. So, according to Liu and Carlos 2006, feedback encouraged the three key things. The first one is reflection, collaboration, and autonomy. It allows students to think deeply about writing, work with others, and take responsibility for their learning. And the second was, it is from Damon and Palps, 1989. Describe peer feedback as a learning process where students act both as writers and also reviewers. When we give feedback, we also learn. We begin to see what makes writing effective and how to apply to our own work. And and then the third one is from Huisman et al. 2018, they cite Flower et al., who explained that peer feedback happens in three stages. The first stage is detection. It is identifying issues when writing, and the second one in is diagnosis, which is understanding why it is a problem, and also the third one or the last one is revision, like making changes to improve our writing. This process trained us not just to write, but to think critically, revise thoughtfully. That's what makes peer feedback so powerful. Okay, so for the research that we use in this in the study. For this research, we use a qualitative approach because we wanted to explore the experience, the perception, the feelings in depth, not just to collect the numbers. And also, we conducted a case study with 10 students in the third semester, all of whom had taken an essay writing course. The student had already experienced doing peer feedback in class, so their insight are valuable. And we use also semi-structured interviews to collect the data. This means we had gilding question, but also gave students the freedom to share their stories and also reflection more openly. And for the data analysis, we apply thematic coding. We read through the interviews, transcript, and also identify common patterns and group them into key themes like perception, writing improvement, confidence, and also challenges. Okay, also the result and discussion of this study. Okay, Uh, let me now share some findings from this interview or the result of our study. So we divided into five themes. The first theme is perception. So, most students felt peer feedback was helpful. Many students say that receiving comments from their classmates gave them new insight into their writing. They appreciate getting suggestions that were sometimes more detailed than they expected. And they also felt confident in giving and receiving feedback, although some expressed doubt. Some students enjoy being reviewers but found it empowering. However, a few admitted they still felt unsure, especially when they had to give criticism to their friends or didn't feel confident in their own writing skill. And then also, feedback from peers were often received as more relatable than lecturer feedback. Since classmates use similar level of language and understand the same writing task, students said that feedback felt more personal and easier to understand. And the second theme is skill improvement. So student uh, Peer feedback helps students identify issues and sentence structure problems. So many students say they were able to fix grammar mistakes or awkward sentences because of the peer suggestion. And the second is some feedback help in developing arguments. So several students receive comments like this idea needs this support or can you explain this further, which push them to improve their reasoning and provide better example. And the third one is essay organization and paragraph flow improve. When peers pointed out confusing transition or weak topic sentences, students revised their structure and made the essay easier to follow. Next, please. Okay, the third theme is feedback quality. So peer comments were clear and helpful when they were specific. For example, comment like your thesis is unclear or this paragraph lacks the unity were much more useful than vague comments. The second one is but often feedback was too general or vague. Comments like this is good or something feels off. It didn't give enough information for the improvement. And the third one, peer feedback was often easier to understand than teacher feedback. Students said that because the peers used simpler language and were familiar with the assignment, their advice were easier to follow. And the fourth one is many students prefer combination of peer and lecturer feedback. So they believe that peer feedback gives fresh perspective while teacher feedback ensure accuracy and also the credibility. And for the motivation and confidence, they say that they have positive comments boosted student confidence. When peers acknowledge good points, it makes students feel proud of their work and also feel motivated to do better. And the second one, feedback increase motivation to revise. Uh, Knowing that someone else had read their essays and given suggestion made the students more eager to make the improvements. The third one is gaining feedback skills help students evaluate their own writing. So by learning how to give feedback to others, students became more aware of their own writing mistakes and the areas for growth. Uh, but however, a few students felt overwhelmed by unclear or harsh feedback. When feedback was a bit confusing or a bit too direct, some student feels disencouraged or unsure about what to fix. Okay, and the last one is challenges and suggestions team. So let's talk about some challenges that students face when doing peer feedback. The first one is vague or unclear feedback. It made the student hard to know what to revise. And the second one is fear of making mistake when giving feedback made some student hesitant to give another suggestion. And the third one is lack of training in how to give and receive feedback made the process less effective for some. And from these challenges, here I will give a suggestion uh, shared by the participant, like we should provide clear feedback guidelines or the templates so students know what to comment on, like the structure, the grammar, and the content, etc. And the last one, we can combine peer feedback with teachers feedback to ensure accuracy and also give the student more complete input. And the third one, we can also conduct training or workshop before the implementation of peer feedback, so students can practice giving feedback and also they feel more confident. Okay, here the conclusion of our study. So peer feedback helps students improve their writing and also gain confidence, become more active in the learning process. But most students also feels found it helpful, but they also face some challenges like unclear comments. With proper guidance, feedback can support better writing and more independent learners. While the overall perception were positive, the effectiveness of peer feedback depends greatly on the quality and clarity of comments, as well as proper training and guidance. Therefore, incorporating peer feedback into writing instruction alongside the lecture or teacher support can foster a more reflective, engaged, and also independent learning environment that contributes to better writing outcomes and also greater student motivation. Okay, maybe thank you. That's all from me. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your attention and support. If you have any question, comments, or what I want to share your own experience with peer feedback, I'd love to hear it in the next section. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for your great presentation. So let's now move on to the next group. At second group, please welcome for the second group.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Atika Salsabila Azahra, and I'm honored to be the presenter for today's seminar. The topic of our seminar is using mobile dictionary to enhance student dependent and independent learning in English subject matter. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to all participants for giving me this opportunity. In this presentation, we will explore how mobile dictionary can support English learners both when they rely on guidance and when they study independently. I will explain the background of study, literature review, the advantage and disadvantage, and research and discussion, and also practical application of using mobile dictionary in educational setting. I hope you find this session informative and engaging. Okay, let's begin. First is background of study. In today's digital learning environment, mobile dictionary have become essential tool for English language learner due to their convenience, accessibility, and ability to provide instant support in vocabulary and pronunciation. These tools are widely used both inside and outside the classroom, allowing students to independently explore new words and meaning without constant reliance on teacher. While many educators see mobile dictionary as a way to foster learner autonomy, concerns have also emerged regarding student potential over dependence on them. When used excessively, therefore, it is crucial to investigate how this tool truly impacts student learning behavior, whether they empower learners to become independent or inadvertently make them more dependent in the long term. Next is problem and research question. The first question for the problem is, does mobile dictionary use encourage learner autonomy or dependent? This question helps us explore whether students use this tool to support independent learning or if they rely on them too much, avoiding critical thinking and context-based questions. Our second question goes deeper into the actual learning research. The question is, how does it impact vocabulary retention and understanding? We want to know if students truly remember and understood the word they look up, or if mobile dictionary only provide a short-term solution that doesn't support long-term vocabulary mastery. By answering this question, our research aims to evaluate both the benefit and potential drawback of using mobile dictionary in English learning and how they affect student behavior and outcomes. To guide our research, we formulate two main questions. First is, how do students use mobile dictionary in English learning? This question looks at the behavior and habits of learners. We want to understand how often they use mobile dictionary and what features they use, like pronunciation, translation, or example sentences, and whether they use them strategically or automatically. For the second question is, do they encourage dependency or independence? Here we focus on the impact of mobile dictionary use. Are students using them as learning support to become more autonomous, or are they becoming dependent on the tool, relying on it for every unfamiliar word without trying to remember or understand vocabulary in context? Together, these two questions help us evaluate both the pattern of use and the learning outcome connected to mobile dictionary in English education. Next is research objective. In this research, we had two main objectives. The first objective was to investigate how mobile dictionary use affects student learning behavior, specifically whether it encourages independence or leads to dependence. We wanted to find out if students were using mobile dictionary as helpful tool to support their learning, or if they were relying on them too much without thinking critically. The second objective was to analyze how different ways of using mobile dictionary impact learning outcome and student satisfaction. This includes how the use of features like pronunciation, example sentences, or quick translation influence vocabulary development, and how students feel about their learning experience. By understanding this objective, we hope to provide insight for both students and educators on how to use mobile dictionary more effectively in English language learning. Next, please. This research used a qualitative design to explore how students use mobile dictionary and how it affects their independence or dependence in learning English. Our participants were students from the 2022 cohort at Untirta, selected randomly to ensure a range of experiences and perspective. And for data collection, we used two methods, an online survey with open-ended question and in-depth interview. This allows us to gather both general opinion and deeper insight into student learning behavior. In terms of data analysis, we use thematic analysis to identify common pattern and theme for interview responses. We also applied descriptive statistics to summarize survey data, helping us understand how often and in what way students use mobile dictionary. This combination of methods gave us a well-rounded understanding of how mobile dictionary influence English learning. Next is literature review. The first one is the role of mobile-assisted language learning in modern education. Mobile-assisted language learning integrates mobile technology into language education, enabling flexible, personalized, and collaborative learning. However, its success depends on effective teaching strategies rather than mere access to devices. Educators must design engaging activity that leverage mobile feature while addressing challenges like unequal access and digital literacy through proper training and support. The second is balancing learning, autonomy, and dependency in mobile dictionary use. Regarding mobile dictionary, they offer quick access to definition, pronunciation, and example, but overreliance can hinder vocabulary retention and critical thinking. Strategic learner use them metacognitively, while passive reliance may lead to superficial learning. And teachers should guide students in evaluating meaning critically and developing metacognitive awareness to balance independent and dependency. The third is strategic versus dependent approaches to mobile dictionary utilization. Effective use of mobile dictionary depend on whether learner engage strategically, applying new vocabulary actively or passively, which limit retention. Teacher can promote deeper learning by combining dictionary use with note-taking, contextual analysis, and self-testing alongside explicit strategy instruction. Metacognitive reflection helps students monitor their progress and become more autonomous. And the last is examining student perception and satisfaction with mobile dictionary. Learner perception and satisfaction also play a role. When students find mobile dictionary useful and accessible, engagement increases. However, without strategic skill, they may rely on them superficially, and teachers should provide structured guidance, foster critical thinking, and incorporate feedback to create a supportive environment that balances independent with effective tool use, ultimately enhancing language competence and confidence. And here are some of the key advantages of using mobile dictionary in English learning. First, they provide instant access to meaning and pronunciation. Second, mobile dictionary encourage self-directed learning. And the third, they support vocabulary growth anytime and anywhere. And finally, this tool engage students beyond the classroom. Next, please. While mobile dictionary offer many benefits, there are also some important disadvantages to consider. First, there is the risk of over-reliance benefit. There are also some, first there is the risk of over-reliance on translation. And the second is this habit can lead to reduced vocabulary retention. And the third, frequent use of mobile dictionary can discourage contextual guessing. And lastly, if students are not given proper guidance, mobile dictionary can result in limited deep processing. For the next slide, please, is result and discussion slide. The first is pattern and use. Most students use mobile dictionary frequently, especially during reading and writing. They mainly rely on translation and pronunciation feature to help them understand unfamiliar words quickly. They show that mobile dictionaries are practical and accessible for daily language tasks. However, we found that not all students use them in the same way. Some use the dictionary strategically only when necessary, while others use them excessively, even for simple words, which could reduce deeper learning. The next is learning behavior. This led us to observe two types of learning behavior. Dependent learner use mobile dictionary almost every time they encounter a difficult word. As a result, they develop a poor vocabulary retention and didn't practice important skills like contextual guessing. In contrast, independent learners only use mobile dictionary when truly needed. They often combine it with note-taking, spaced repetition, or a sentences building activity which help improve long-term vocabulary mastery. The third is student satisfaction. Overall, most students had positive perception of mobile dictionary. They felt that the tool helped them learn faster and reduce their anxiety when encountering new words. Interestingly, this who you use mobile dictionary along with active strategies like writing down words of using them in practice show higher confidence and vocabulary mastery. They show that the balance between digital tool and traditional method like reading, context guessing, and repetition is key for effective learning. The fourth is the role of teacher. The teacher role is crucial in this process. Teacher can guide students on how to use mobile dictionary wisely, for example, by modeling how to check pronunciation, usage, and context. They can also design activity using mobile dictionary, such as exploring synonym or using new vocabulary in writing tasks. This helps students become more independent learner. The next is dependent versus independent learner. Not all learners are at the same level of independence. Dependent learners often need clear instruction and structure from the teacher to avoid over-relying on the dictionary. Independent learners tend to take initiative. They explore app feature, build custom word lists, and apply vocabulary in speaking and writing. Recognizing this difference can help the teacher provide direct support to each learner. The next is best practice for balance use. The research clearly show that students benefit most when mobile dictionary are used alongside other strategies that include guessing meaning from context, note taking, reviewing, and applying new vocabulary. When used thoughtfully and with proper guidance, mobile dictionary become a powerful support tool and not a shortcut. Next, please. Next is this is the conclusion. Mobile dictionary are valuable for language learner, fostering independence when used wisely. However, over-reliance can hinder deeper learning, so educators should guide strategic use, combining them with reflection, note-taking, and context analysis to enhance understanding and maximize learning outcome. And thank you very much for your attention and participation throughout this seminar. To conclude, we've explored how mobile dictionary can play a significant role in enhancing both dependent and independent learning in English. We have looked at the advantage they offer, such as accessibility, convenience, and learner autonomy, as well as some of the challenges that may arise in their use. I hope this discussion has provided valuable insight and practical ideas that you can apply in your own learning or teaching experiences. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, thank you for group 2. Now let's move on to the next group. It's group 3. For Lucy, time is yours. Okay, thank you, moderator. So, good morning, everyone. We are from group 3. Today, I would like to present our research entitled Student Perception of Media Approach Learning on English Speaking Proficiency of Students in the English Education Department of Sultan Agung Tekayasa University. So, before starting, allow me to introduce ourselves. First, with me, Lucy Rofiasari, and my friend Edna Widio. Ada suara yang nggak ada?
Dengar suaranya.
Hah?
Kurang kedengaran suaranya.
Begini. Begini cukup. Okay, good morning everyone. We are from Group 3. Today I would like to present our research entitled Student Perception of Media Approach Learning on English Speaking Proficiency of Students in the English Education Department of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. So this research explores how students perceive the use of digital media in improving their English speaking skills. Before starting, allow me to introduce ourselves. First, with me, Lucy Tiasari, and my friend Ernur Haliza Gustianaya. And so, the first is about introduction. In introduction, fluency in English is essential in today's globalized world, but speaking abilities are frequently neglected in traditional education, particularly in higher education settings like Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. Media-based learning with technologies like YouTube, podcasts, and apps offers a more engaging method that boosts students' enthusiasm, confidence, and practical communication skills. And the research objective. Our study has three main objectives. First is to explore students' experiences with media-assisted learning, and the second to analyze how media affect their speaking proficiency, and the third to identify the difficulties students have when using media resources to develop their English language skills. And the next research question, and we also focus on three research questions. First is how do students perceive the use of media in learning speaking skills? And the second, what types of media are most effective in improving English speaking proficiency? And the third one is what challenges do students face when using media for learning? Therefore, having answered these two studies, we aim to gain a deeper understanding of how media can support more effective, personalized, and engaging speaking instruction while also identifying areas where improvement or support is still needed in classroom practice. And the next is literature review. So the literature shows that media-based learning supports speaking development by making learning more interactive, flexible, and learner-centered. The theories we use communicative language teaching and constructivism learning both emphasize the importance of meaningful, real-life communication and active student engagement. This means that digital media can help students not only improve their technical skills like pronunciation and fluency, but also build confidence by allowing them to practice in more personalized and realistic ways. And the next is type of media. We focus on three types of media. First is YouTube, which helps students imitate real-life conversation and understand facial expression, tone, and gestures. And the second, podcasts, which are useful for developing listening comprehension and improving speech rhythm and pronunciation through repetition. And the third, media apps, which provide speaking practice with instant feedback, helping students self-correct and improving specific pronunciation problems. And the next is methodology. So, for the methodology, we use a qualitative design with a phenomenological approach to deploy to explore student experiences, and our participants were selected through purposive sampling from the 2022 English education cohort, specifically those actively using media for learning to speak English. And we collected data using structured questionnaires that covered how often and how effectively they use different media tools.
And then we analyze the data using thematic analysis to find common patterns and insights. The next is finding student perceptions. Based on the findings, most students perceive media as very helpful for improving their English speaking skills. Um, One student said, I find media to be quite beneficial. I acclimatize to manner of speech of native speakers and experience increased enthusiasm for learning. And another student emphasized the flexibility of learning with media. Media enables me to acquire knowledge at any time and in any location, and I can engage with authentic dialogues. This statement shows that media is not just a passive tool but actively supports students' real-time comprehension, exposure to authentic language, and self-confidence in speaking. And the next is findings media effectiveness. Among different media platforms used, YouTube was the most favored. Students liked its realistic models of spoken English and its features like replay. One participant explained, YouTube is the most helpful media because I can see and imitate how people speak directly. And the second, podcasts we are also popular, especially for practicing pronunciation and rhythm during daily routines. And the participant says, I usually repeat the words, record my voice, and imitate how they speak from the podcast. Lastly, interactive apps like Elsa and Duolingo provide instant feedback and allow students to focus on specific speaking skills. I use every day for at least 10 minutes from for speaking. I like using Elsa because it checks my pronunciation directly. And the next is finding challenges. Students also experience several challenges when using media for speaking practice. First is unstable internet connection was a common issue. The participant says the biggest challenges for me is the internet connection. Sometimes the video buffers of the app is slow. And the second is unfiltered content, confusion due to slang or informal expression. Some students felt confused by informal or slang language that didn't match classroom materials. And the participant says, yes, I once got confused because of the slang in the video that isn't taught in class. And the third, passive use. Some students only watch or listening without practicing. Even though media offers flexibility, some students admit falling into passive learning habits. And the participant says media helps me learn flexibility, but sometimes I forget or feel lazy to practice. These challenges highlight the need for teacher guidance, curated content, and structured activities help students use media effectively and consistently. And the next is finding media builds confidence. First is media help reduce fear of making mistakes in speaking, and the second phase space for practicing. Student could record, and self-correct. And the third is replying content increases mastery and motivation. And one student shared, now I feel more confident because I'm used to listening and trying to speak through videos. Another appreciated the ability to repeat, self-correct, and monitor their progress. I usually repeat words, record my voice, and imitate how they speak. Media doesn't just improve technical skills, it also builds psychological readiness, helping students speak more confidently in academic and real-world contexts. And the next is discussion. So, from our findings, we conclude that each media type supports speaking in different ways. Like YouTube helps with the pronunciation, podcasts with listening rhythm, and apps with the real time feedback. But however, Students give teacher support to stay active and focused, and media also plays a big role in reducing anxiety and building confidence. And the last is conclusion. The conclusion is media-based learning effectively improves students' English speaking skills. Tools like YouTube, podcasts, and apps boost fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. While students find media helpful and engaging, issues like weak internet and passive use need guidance, and overall media support both language development and learner confidence. So that's enough for me. Thank you for listening and joining in the seminar. And if you have any question, please ask at the end later. So maybe that's all from group 3. I'm writing back to the module.
Okay, thank you for your great presentation, Yusuf Lasari. So now it's final group for group 4. Muhammad Ali Zidan, please, time is yours. Present your paper.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is the title of our seminar. The title is The Effect of Using Technology-Based Teaching Materials on Students' English Learning Motivation. Next slide, please. Yes, for the introduction, the rapid advancement of technology has significantly transformed the educational landscape, particularly in language learning. Technology-based teaching materials like computer-assisted language learning or CALL and mobile-assisted language learning or MAL have become indispensable in English language education, offering authentic resources, interactive content, and personalized learning experiences. However, the impact of technology on students' motivation to learn English remains a critical area of inquiry. Motivation is a fundamental factor in successful language acquisition, but maintaining motivation can be challenging due to monotonous teaching methods, lack of interaction with native speakers, and limited access to engaging materials. Existing studies focus on improving language skills but do not fully capture the motivational aspects of technology used in language learning. Next, next slide, please. Okay. For the research questions is the first one. How do technology-based teaching materials such as CALL and MAL affect students' motivation to learn English? The second one is what specific features of technology-based materials contribute to increased motivation among English language learners? And the third one is how does the use of authentic digital resources, example videos, podcasts, and interactive games, influence intrinsic motivation in English language learning? The fourth one is what challenges do learners face when using technology-based teaching materials, and how do these challenges impact their motivation? The last one is how does exposure to technology-based teaching materials affect students' self-efficacy and academic performance in learning English? Next slide. Okay, for the research objective, the first one is to assess the overall impact of technology-based teaching materials on students' motivation to learn English. The next one is to identify specific features of technology-based materials that enhance motivation among English language learners. The next one is to evaluate the influence of authentic digital resources on learners' intrinsic motivation in English language learning. The next one is to explore the challenges faced by learners when using technology-based teaching materials and their effects on motivation levels. The last one is to analyze the relationship between the use of technology-based teaching materials, student self-efficacy, and their academic performance in English. Next. Okay, for the literature review, there are 3 points. The first one is positive effects of technology-based materials. Mm, the second one is challenges and limitations, and the third one is pedagogical implications. Now, for the positive effects of technology-based materials, there are 3 points. The first point is increased engagement. Technology has revolutionized the way students engage with learning materials. Research indicates that technology-based teaching tools significantly enhance student engagement by providing interactive and dynamic learning experiences. The second point is personalized learning. One of the most significant advantages of technology in education is its ability to facilitate personalized learning experiences. And the last point is improved academic achievement. Numerous studies have demonstrated a positive correlation between the use of technology in language learning and academic performance. And for the challenges and limitations, there are second point. The first point is anxiety and stress. While technology offers numerous benefits, it can also introduce challenges that negatively impact learners' motivation. And the last point is dependence on effective implementation. How they are implemented within the classroom context. And for the pedagogic implications, or the last point, there are 4 points. The first one is design interactive materials. Educators should focus on designing interactive and engaging materials that align with learners' needs and preferences. The second point is provide training. Institutions must invest in professional development programs for teachers to equip them with the skills necessary for effective technology integration. The third point is incorporate warm-up activities to mitigate anxiety associated with using new technologies. Educators should implement warm-up activities that familiarize students with digital tools before diving into more complex tasks. And the last point is adjust assessments. Traditional assessment methods may not adequately reflect the students' abilities when using technology-based material. Next slide, please. Okay, the methodology. The study uses a qualitative research designed to explore how technology-based teaching materials affect students' motivation to learn English. Data will be collected through semi-structured interviews and focus group discussions, allowing for detailed exploration of participants' thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This approach aims to capture the complexity of motivational factors and uncover nuances. Next slide. The participants for this study will consist of junior high school students enrolled in English language classes. The target age group for junior high school students typically ranges from 12 to 15 years old. This age group is particularly relevant for this study as they are often at a critical stage in their language acquisition journey, where motivation plays a pivotal role in their learning outcomes. Next. Okay, for the instruments, the first instrument is semi-structured interviews, the second one is focus group discussions, and the last one is observation notes. For semi-structured interviews, individual interviews with students will explore their personal experiences with technology-based teaching materials. For the focus group discussion, small focus groups for around 4 and 6 participants per group will provide an opportunity for students to discuss their experiences collectively. And the last one is observation notes. During interviews and focus groups, observational notes will be taken to capture nonverbal cues, such as expressions, tone of voice, or body language that may provide additional insights into participants' attitudes and emotions. For the data analysis, there are transcription, coding, system development, and interpretation. For the transcription, all interviews and focus group discussions will be audio recorded with participants' consent and then transcribed verbatim to ensure accuracy. For coding, the transcriptions will be systematically coded uses both inductive and deductive approaches. For inductive coding, terms will emerge directly from the data without preconceived categories, and for deductive coding, predefined categories related to motivation, example engagement, enjoyment, challenges will get the analysis. The third point is system development. The coded data will be grouped into overarching themes that address the research questions. For example, positive motivational factors and challenges affecting motivation. And the last point is interpretation. The themes will be interpreted in relation to existing literature on motivation and technology-based learning materials, providing deeper insights into how these tools influence junior high school students' motivation. Next, for findings. First point is positive impact on motivation. The second point is role of authenticity, and the last point is challenges identified. For positive impact on motivation, one of the most significant findings from the interviews and focus group discussions was the overwhelmingly positive impact of technology-based teaching materials on students' motivation to learn English. There are 3 points from positive impact on motivation. The first point is increased engagement. Students expressed the technology made learning more interactive and enjoyable. The second point is personalized learning experiences. Participants appreciated the ability to tailor their learning experiences through technology. The last point is enhanced self-efficacy. Several students reported a boost in their confidence levels when using technology-based materials. For the role of authenticity, another prominent theme that emerged from the data was the importance of authenticity in motivating students to English through technology-based materials. The first point is exposure to real-world context. Students indicated the authentic materials, such as videos featuring native speakers or real-life scenarios, significantly enhanced their motivation. The second point is relatability and relevance. Participants emphasized the authentic resources made learning more relevant to their lives. And the last point is increased intrinsic motivation. The use of authentic materials fostered intrinsic motivation among students by making learning enjoyable and meaningful. For challenges identified, while the findings highlighted numerous benefits of technology-based teaching materials, several challenges were also identified that impacted students' motivation. The first point is anxiety related to technology use. Some students reported experiencing anxiety when using unfamiliar digital tools or platforms for language learning. The second point is dependence on technology. A few participants expressed concerns about becoming overly reliant on technology for language learning, fearing it might hinder their ability to engage in traditional classroom activities or face-to-face communication. The last point is technical issues. Some students face technical difficulties during lessons, such as slow internet connections or software malfunctions, which disrupted their learning experience and affected their motivation negatively. Next, the discussion. The first point is implications for educators, the second point is relevance to existing literature, and the last point is future research direction. For implications for educators, there are 4 points. The first point is emphasizing engagement through technology. The study revealed that students are more engaged when using technology-based materials that incorporate interactive features, such as gamification and multimedia content. The second point is utilizing authentic materials. The role of authenticity in enhancing students' motivation cannot be overstated. The third point is addressing anxiety and technical challenges. The study identified anxiety related to technology use as a significant barrier to motivation. The last point is balancing technology with traditional methods. While technology offers numerous benefits, it is essential for educators to strike a balance between digital tools and traditional teaching methods. For the relevance to existing literature, the findings of this study align with existing literature that emphasizes the positive effects of technology on student motivation in language learning contexts. For future research direction, while this study provides valuable insights into the relationship between technology-based teaching materials and student motivation, several avenues for future research remain. The first point is longitudinal studies. Future research could explore the long-term effects of technology integration and on student motivation and language proficiency over time. The second point is comparative studies, investigating differences in motivation levels among various demographic groups, example age, gender, socioeconomic status. And using technology-based materials could yield valuable information about how different learners respond to digital tools. The third point is exploration of specific technologies. Further research could focus on specific types of technology, example virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and their unique impacts on student motivation and engagement in language learning contexts. The fourth point is teacher perspectives. Understanding educators' experiences and challenges in implementing technology-based teaching materials would complement student perspectives and contribute to developing effective strategies for integration. Next slide. Okay, for the conclusion, there are 3 points. The first point is summary of key findings. The second point is implications for educators, and the last point is future research directions. For summary of key findings, there are 3 points. The first point is positive impact on motivation. The study found that students are more motivated when using technology-based teaching materials that incorporate interactive and gamified elements. The second point is role of authenticity. Authentic materials such as videos and real-world scenarios were identified as crucial in enhancing students' intrinsic motivation. The last point is challenges identified. While technology offers numerous benefits, students express concerns about anxiety related to unfamiliar tools and the potential for over-reliance on digital resources. For the implications for educators, the findings underscore the importance of thoughtfully integrating technology into English language instruction. And for the last points of conclusion is future research directions. This study opens several avenues for future research, including longitudinal studies to assess the long-term effects of technology on motivation, comparative studies examining demographic differences in responses to technology-based materials, and investigations into specific technologies that may further enhance the student engagement. Next slide. Okay, that's all for our group. Thank you for your attention. I return to moderator. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank you very much for your presentation, Muhammad Ali Zidan. So now, time for Q&A session. So if you have question for each group, you may mention the group you want to ask your question. So does anyone have a question? Okay, Safira, I'm sure.
Okay, I want to ask to the third presenter, Lucy Lutfiasari and friends. The question is, what is the most effective media according to your research findings, and why? Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your question, Safira. So for the third group, you have time to answer the question. So perhaps from others group, there's any question? Okay, Nurhaliza, ask your question.
I want to ask to Reni Group, what if a student receive peer feedback that inaccurate or even misleading? How should that be handled? That's the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nurhaliza. Uh, for the first group, you have time to answer. Yeah, if anyone have question, please raise your hand.
Okay. I would like to answer Fatira's question. The question is, what is the most effective media according to your research findings and why? So, from what I found in this study, YouTube came out as the most effective media based on students' perceptions, and many of them said they like it because it gives access to real and authentic content like casual conversations, vlogs, tutorials, and or interviews, which really helps students notice how native speakers actually speak in terms of pronunciation, intonation, and even speaking style. And another reason is the flexibility YouTube offers, and students can pause or replay or slow down the videos, and so they can practice at their own pace. And some even mention they use it to do shadowing, basically repeating what they hear, and then record their voice and compare them with the original speakers. It's a great way to improve. And also, unlike audio-only media, YouTube gives visual cues like facial expressions and gestures, which help students understand context better. So overall, YouTube isn't just helpful for pronunciation or fluency, but also builds confidence and makes the learning process more engaging. So that's all. It is enough. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, enough. Thank you, Lucy.
Okay, thank you, Lucy, for your answer. Now maybe before presenter, you have time to answer the question from group one.
All right, I will answer from Nurhaliza's question. Actually, that's a great question, and it actually reflects one of the challenges that we found in our research. Sometimes the quality of the peer review can vary or varies depending on the reviewer's understanding or writing ability. In this case, it is important for students to treat peer feedback as one source input, not only the one. We should reflect on the comments, compare them with what we have learned with the lecturer, and also ask the question if something seems unclear. That's also why combining peer feedback with the lecturer feedback is highly recommended. It helps students double check the suggestion they receive, and also it gives them more balanced input. And in the future, giving student training or example of good feedback before doing the peer review can also reduce the chance of receiving inaccurate comments. Okay, so that's all.
Okay, thank you, Reni.
Okay, I have question for the four presenter. So, why did you choose that title for your paper? I think that's my question. Thank you. So, so if any question for another group, please raise your hand and ask your question.
Okay, I'll answer this last question. According to the findings of this study, at authentic digital resources such as videos featuring native speakers and real-life scenarios significantly enhance students' intrinsic motivation in learning English. These materials provide meaningful and relevant learning experiences that help students connect with the language on a deeper, more personal level. Students reported feeling more engaged and interested when the content reflected their own interests, such as music, movies, or real conversations. Authentic resources also made students feel that what they were learning was applicable in real-world situations, which increased their enthusiasm and desire to learn English beyond the classroom. Okay, that's the answer. Is it enough, Nisa?
Uh, okay, Ali, that's enough. Thank you for your answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe that's all our discussion. Thank you for the great discussion about the topic. So to wrap up, I would like to thank all of the presenters for their hard work and valuable contributions. I would also like to thank all participants for your attention and thoughtful question. We hope this seminar has inspired you, broadened your perspective, and deepened your understanding of English language teaching. So that concludes our seminar for today. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.